Hi everybody, and welcome to Ruby's Classic Cooking. Today I'm making sweet and sour pineapple meatballs. Now this is a recipe I haven't made in a while, and it's served on a bed of rice. So I'll get the meatballs on, and since they have to simmer in the sauce for 30 minutes, and my rice is going to take me 25, I'll get this all done first and then I'll cook my rice. So anyway, I'm going to make a half a batch today because there's just the two of us, and this makes enough for a family. So this is a little over a half a pound of hamburger, and that's where my starting point is for, of course, sweet and sour meatballs, right? I'm going to add a quarter of a cup of breadcrumbs. I'm going to add a tablespoon and a half of milk. Recipe I'm going to put below, and I'll have the metric equivalents with it, so don't worry. Salt, pepper, ginger, and garlic powder are all in here, and in here they go. All those amounts, like I said, will be in the description file below. This is a quarter of a cup of, like they call for fresh onions, chopped up onions, but I'm feeling lazy today, so I'm going to use the dehydrated onion flakes, chopped onion that you can buy at the grocery store, and a tablespoon and a half of soy sauce. So in that goes, and an egg, and here goes my egg. Come on, egg, don't leave me with shell in there. Here we go. To brown your meatballs, and I'm going to bake them off in the oven because that's a lot easier than frying them in a pan, and they keep their shape better if you cook them in the oven. 325 for about 15 minutes. Test them to make sure they're well done, although actually they don't really have to be 100% well done because you're going to be cooking these meatballs in a sauce for 30 minutes. So if they're a little bit pink in the middle when you take them out of the oven, it's not really going to make a big difference because you're going to be cooking them in the sauce. I'm just going to use my trusty Corningware casserole dish here to bake them in the oven because, of course, this is a very oven-safe dish. Here are all my ingredients in my bowl, and now I'm going to make my meatballs out of these once I've mixed these ingredients together. I'm going to use my 1 tablespoon scoop, which is not an ice cream scoop. This is a scoop for cookies, but it'll make nice little meatballs and they'll be nice and consistent. If you don't have something like that, you can just take a tablespoon from the drawer in your kitchen to make meatballs approximately the right size, and I'm just going to shape them with the palms of my hands. So I'm just going to stir this up with my hands. You can use a spoon or a fork if you don't want to get your hands in it, but your hands are going to get in it anyway. You can also buy some disposable gloves from the dollar store if you really don't want to touch the raw meat. Like I said, 47 years cooking in my kitchen. I don't really mind anymore. Not a big deal for me. So let's get these all integrated together, and just kind of lightly with your fingertips. Oh, there's my oven going, 325 degrees Fahrenheit, which I believe is 205 Celsius, I think, but I'll have that in my description below. Here you go, all nicely mixed together. I just take my meatball, and there it goes, nice and formed up into a little round ball here. You can make bigger meatballs if you want to, but I find a tablespoon size one is a good size for baking and putting in this recipe. And if you're taking it to a potluck, well, it gives you lots of meatballs if you make smaller ones, so everybody can have 2 or 3 meatballs. I just kind of make a line of them in here, and I'll come back when I'm finished this part of it. Hi, I'm back again. My meatballs are now all cooked, and now I'm going to do my sauce for my sweet and sour pineapple meatballs. And I have my pineapple. Now it says to use canned pineapple, but I happen to have some lovely looking fresh pineapple, so that's going to go in mine. Alright, in my pan I have 1/3 of a cup of soy sauce. To that I'm going to add a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Alright, this good stuff here. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now I'm going to cook this for a while until it thickens and it's smooth. Then I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar and 1/2 a cup of vinegar. Plus then I'm going to add my pineapple chunks. I'm going to cook that with my meatballs. Then I'm going to add my pineapple chunks, I'm going to take this to the stove and cook this up, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like before I add my vinegar and my pepper and cook it again. And then I'll be adding my pineapple chunks and my meatballs to it and letting it cook for 30 minutes covered. While that's going on, I'll be doing up my rice. One last ingredient, I'm going to add a half a cup of vinegar to my mixture over there on the stove. In this recipe, the ingredients are not exactly in order, and I missed my vinegar. I'll be right back. Here it is, cooked till it's smooth. See that? It's nice and glossy in here in the pot. Try not to spill it out all over the place. Now I'm just going to stir in a quarter of a cup of brown sugar. Put that in there, and a little bit of pepper. Okay, now I've just stirred in my sugar and about a quarter of a teaspoon of pepper in here. Looks like now. There, I burned my arm here. There we go. See what it looks like now with the brown sugar stirred in there and the pepper. And now I'm going to add my meatballs to this. 20 minutes in the oven, and I'm just going to add the juice and all to my pot and stir them in. I'm just going to stir these around and coat them with the sauce. See? Tried not to stir too hard because I don't want to break my meatballs up into, hamburger. Here they are in the pot. And now I'm just going to cover and simmer for 30 minutes. All right, now those are on simmering, and now I'm going to start my rice because it takes me about 25 minutes for the rice. Okay, I know all of you out there are going to be going, oh yeah, I just haul out my rice cooker now at this point and do this. Well, I don't own a rice cooker, and maybe you don't either. But I have discovered that this is a really good way to cook rice, and it turns out really well for me every time. Now this is a corningware casserole, which your grandmother may have had them, or your mother, or you might even have them. This is about a 10-cup one, and it is a nice deep one. Well, I have put 3/4 of a cup in here of rice, and I'm now going to add 3 times that in water, in liquid. Now, okay. To tell you what I'm saying, okay, if I put a cup of rice in here, it's 1 part rice, and the box will tell you, the container will tell you 2 times that in water, right? They'll say 1 part rice, 2 parts water. But when I do it this way, I do 1 part rice, 3 parts water, and it always turns out for me. So I've got 3/4 of a cup of rice in here, so I need 2 1/4 cups of liquid. Now, I just put water in here, and I don't add salt, I don't add butter, I don't add anything to it. I just cook the rice just like this, just plain boiled rice. But today, I'm going to add some beef broth to this, just to kick it up a notch and give me a little more beefy flavor in my rice. So, I've got my beef broth measured out here. I've just got 2 cups here. So I'll add another 1/4 of a cup of broth here. And then there we go. That goes in there. Now 2 1/4 cups of broth, or 2 1/4 cups of water if you want. So I'm going to stir this up a little bit, make sure there's no air pockets in here. Okay, here's my rice, and I'm going to be putting this in my microwave for 5 minutes on high. And then when that's done, I will set it for another 25 minutes at 70%, which they say, medium high, and 70% is medium high on mine. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's all finished that cycle, and you'll see that I didn't really need a special rice cooker because this does a really lovely job. My meatballs all nice and simmered from having been a half an hour on the stove, and now I'm going to stir in my pineapple chunk to make it sweet and sour meatballs. So now I'm just going to stir these in, and another 5 minutes on the stove on low, and they'll be finished. I'm afraid my meatballs haven't really kept their shape all that well. One of those hazards, I guess, sorry. And my rice is ready to go here. I have got it here right out of the microwave, and let's see how it turned out. Yep. It's nice and fluffy. Oh, I guess you can't see that. Just fluff up my rice a little bit here. There you go. It's kind of brown looking because of the beef broth that I put it on instead of plain water. You see it's all nice and fluffy. There's no water in the bottom here to drain off or anything. There you go. See, it's all cooked up nicely, and that was just 1 part rice and 3 parts liquid. So, okay, here I have my rice all ready to go, and here are my meatballs with pineapple all ready to go. Let's just take my serving spoon here, serve up a serving of rice on the bottom. There we go, a nice serving of rice. And a nice serving of meatballs and pineapple. I'm afraid that the pork ones kind of fell apart, but the beef ones have sort of stayed together, which is a good thing. Here we go. A lovely rice and beef dinner. I hope you enjoyed my recipe today, and I hope that you will like and subscribe to my channel, and you'll join me next time on Ruby's Classic Cooking. Bye for now.